Welcome back to 13C. Today we're talking about some holsters from Bravo Concealment. Up first, the Torsion, which is an inside the waistband holster, and then we're going to talk about their one of their outside the waistband holsters, the BCA. Now it's been about 3 months we've been working on doing both these holsters. I've carried this Torsion. We'll start out with here first. We've carried this for about the past 3 months, mostly appendix inside the waistband. This is a inside the waistband holster, so you can carry it anywhere inside the waistband if you wanted to, not just appendix style like I normally like to carry. You can also carry it off to your side. I've carried this about the 3.5, 4 o'clock position, and it's done very well also. But for me, for something small and concealable like this, honestly, I like appendix version. One thing you'll notice on this, I have that second clip off. There's this comes with 2 different clips, one here and an identical one right here. If you really want to anchor this thing down into place, you can use 2. Quite honestly, I like it with 1. That way, especially appendix inside the waistband, when you sit down, if you have a little bit of flex, it'll tilt just a little bit on a regular size belt, which will allow you just that little bit of movement will help with a little bit of comfort. It's just something that almost any of the appendix inside the waistband holsters I run, if they're going to have 2 clips on them, I'll only run them with 1. It's personal preference. One of the nice things about this thing having what they call their Torsion technology is it has a built-in cant here, if you can see that, into the actual holster. So if you're only running 1 clip, it's not dependent on another clip to push the butt of the gun in against your body to help lower your profile so it doesn't print. That's something that's nice to see, that they've incorporated that into the body rather than having some sort of spacers or other type devices that push the front end of the holster back to bring that butt of the gun into the body. I think, as I mentioned, it's been about 3 months. It's cold. It's below 32 degrees, so we're gonna get some pictures of me without jackets and stuff on so that you can see this. But some of that's gonna be tied up a little bit just because it's the beginning of the season here, and my body still hasn't adjusted to this cold that we're seeing, especially not with the wind here. We're tucked in an alcove right now, which is nice, so we're not getting destroyed. The bottom here, if you look through here, you can see these are cut for suppressor height sights and then also for a threaded barrel. I have neither on these. These are just the standard night vision sights. We did a review on these a couple months ago, and nice bright night sights with that big bright dot you can pick up in the daylight as well with their built-in enamel here that's on here. Anyway, that's a different video if you feel like checking that out. We're also using these today with some belts from Blue Alpha Gear. A great group of folks, local small all US made shop. They hand make everything and start out in their garage. And they moved up out of their garage, but they still hand make everything. Crazy good stitching and belts. So that'll probably, I'll wind up doing another video on that. If you want to see something about it right away, you can go back and check out the video where I interviewed Kurt probably 2 years ago. I ran into him at the Iraq Veteran Shoot. Great event. If you're not familiar with Iraq Veteran 8888, you definitely should be. He's a hell of a guy, and his whole team, great group of folks. So you saw how easy this was to get off my belt when I wanted to get it off. Basically, just grab onto this. You can lift it up, bring you enough space to get it up. If you look at how aggressive that clip is right there, it does a really good job of grabbing onto whatever type of belt or whatever type of lip you can, so that it doesn't pull out when you draw your handgun. Now for me, that is something that is crucial. I've run into a couple different holsters over the years where the holster itself was solid, but the clips, they cheaped out on the clips, and a lot of people don't make their own clips, so they'll wind up buying aftermarket or clips or third-party clips, and they won't spend the money to get a quality clip. That's the most important expensive part when they're making it, because most companies have to outsource them. You need a solid clip. There's nothing worse than trying to draw your gun and having your holster come out with it. So make sure that whatever clip you're using, and again, I'm only using 1 clip on this. This clip is more than enough to hold it into place for any of the different belts I've tried, not just the Blue Alpha Gear belts, but also these, including the Blue Alpha Gear, which primarily with this one, I'll carry it with that their low profile EDC, which has a really low profile front on it. That way I can carry a spare mag carrier up and off to the side, not really have to worry about cheating that belt buckle over. Full-size belt buckle, if you're carrying appendix inside the waistband, you got to cheat that belt buckle over a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to have a little bit of a hump in front of your holster, any holster, as that belt buckle stands off just a little bit. So something to keep in mind. If you're having a hard time carrying a handgun, the biggest issue for most people isn't the size of the handgun. It isn't even necessarily their body type. It's the fact that they're not getting the right holster and the right belt for their setup. If you can get the right holster and the right belt, you can carry, virtually anybody can carry any number of different handguns concealably and comfortably, more importantly, because if you're not comfortable while you're carrying, it needs to be functional, but it's got to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're less likely to carry it, and if you're less likely to carry it, you may not have it at the moment that you need it. For the construction of these holsters, Bravo uses .08 Kydex. Now these are molded directly into the gun, or directly for the specific gun it's made for. So this is a Smith & Wesson M&P shield. This will not fit other Smith & Wesson holsters, firearms I should say, so keep that in mind. You want to order something, you want to order it specific to the exact firearm that you're going to be carrying. We will get into the differences between like Glock 17 and Glock 19. I've got a BCA holster on right now with a Glock 19 in it, but the holster is made for a Glock 17. Works perfectly fine, there's no problem with that. You're going to have a little bit extra length because obviously it's meant for the longer slide on a 17. But so there is a little bit of transition between holsters, but for the most part for holsters like this, you need to order it for exactly what you want. This is extremely good. And turn it upside down and shake it, it's not coming out. It's positive snap draw, and when you go in, you can feel and hear the tactile sound of that going back in. Just pulling on it isn't going to get it out. You want to give it a little bit of a tug, and it'll pop right out. I've had quite a bit of draw time with this over the past 3 months. Quite a bit of carry. I took this on vacation with me shortly after I got it in. Flew down to Florida with it, carried around some non-permissive environments down there, and this did a really good job of concealing my handgun. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with this one. Now let's talk about the BCA. So just to show you what's going on here right now, I have the Torsion up front here with the Smith & Wesson M&P shield, and then a Glock 19 on the side here with the BCA outside the waistband, as well as their spare mag caddy, also for full-size double-stack mags. This one for Glock 19/17 mags. Things I would like to point out is just how tight to the body this is holding, this outside the waistband is holding this Glock 19. Brings it in nice and tight. These loops on here you can actually swap out for some inside the waistband clips if you wanted to, so you can move this inside the waistband. There's a little bit of curve on the holster itself. I'm going to take this off in a second. I'll show you while I'm holding it. There's a little bit of curve to that holster as well, which would work for inside the waistband, although for me I want something slightly lower profile for inside the waistband. You know, the funny thing is, in about 2 months I'm going to be dying for a heat wave of 28 degrees like we have right now, even with the wind. So that's the funny part. I'm gonna, we'll wind up having comments, and I'll wind up going back and watching this video, the end of January, beginning of February, and I'll be wishing for 28 degrees again. But anyway, here is the holster, just because, there we go. So there's that slight curve I was telling you about that's there, as well as, and that puts the belt loops on here, which are, these are 1.5 inch belt loops. You can also get some 1 3/4 as well. But you can see how they come in, and it helps to draw that holster directly into the body, which is nice. Now there is one negative to these types of clips being that close for the curve. The problem is that, like, I have on a blue Alpha Gear belt with a really low profile female end of that Cobra buckle, and while that will go through these loops, because it's so close here and the back of the gun sticks out to make this as close and tight to the body as possible to the back of the Kydex, what you're going to have here is that belt loop won't be able to make, or the belt buckle won't be able to make its turn and come out and go in. Obviously, I just took it off, it works. But you got to take off that larger Cobra type buckle, even if it is a low profile one that'll get through your belt loops, because it can't quite make the turn because it's so stiff. Because the stiffness of the belt and the size of the actual buckle itself. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. It's not a negative by any means because of how tightly it draws into the body. See a lot of people run this as far as if they're going to go outside the waistband, including myself. Really nice, tight up against the body, but there is that one drawback. So I want to make sure I let that out. I kind of let that out there so that you would know what to expect. Anyway, like I said, this is a Glock 17 holster, but we've got a Glock 19 in it. And the big difference there, the Glock 17, Glock 19, for those who aren't familiar, you have a slightly longer mag well, which for the holster would not matter. And the barrel on the 17 is slightly longer. So it is threaded on the bottom, so I have run some Lone Wolf threaded barrels in my Glock 17 and Glock 19 in here. We've done a lot suppressor work over the past couple of months, and I've had this on my belt. It was nice to be able to holster my handgun with that threaded barrel on there and not worry about it. The threaded barrel on the Glock 17 just does stick out the bottom just a little bit. With the Glock 19 in here, it doesn't at all. So for outside the waistband, like if I was going to go with appendix inside the waistband and I was only going to carry a Glock 19, I would not get the Glock 17 holster, I'd get the Glock 19. But for outside the waistband, that slight little extra bit of room to be able to carry either a handgun in here, 17 or 19, I definitely think getting a 17 holster for outside the waistband is a better way to go if you have a 17 and you plan on carrying it. So I digress on that point though. That's just kind of personal preference. This has the same .08 Kydex construction on here. It's cut low enough so that you can get a full firing grip on your handgun when you're drawing it. If you can see right there, I've got a full grip. It's also got a forward cant of 10 degrees built into it, which you know, is about where I like to have my cant anyway on my handgun. It also, bringing it up just a little bit, helps to conceal, for concealability, getting it up against your body. So during this, I'm going to roll in footage of me drawing and shooting and things like that. I'm not going to do a whole lot of stuff on camera here. You guys have seen some of this in previous videos leading up to this, where we've had these holsters out here on the range. Maybe I'll throw in some footage of that or put some links down below or something like that. We're not going to reinvent the wheel on this. I mostly wanted to, you know, touch on and answer the questions that we've had on these over the past couple of months that we've had these up, and we've been making some social media posts on them. Hopefully that answers everything. Bravo Concealment, looking at their thing, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee on their holsters. So, you know, if you order one and you don't like it, whatever the case is, you got 30 days to send it back, and they'll give you a refund on it, which is cool to see. Brene down there seems to do a pretty good job of not just putting out some decent products, but also standing behind their stuff with their customer service, which is nice to see as well. I've got a lot of friends in the industry who run some Bravo Concealment stuff as well, and they all speak highly of it and haven't had any issues. For spending time with us, everybody. If you haven't subscribed already, please click subscribe. If you haven't signed up for notifications, hit that bell to get notifications as well. We appreciate all your support. You will be seeing more of this holster in action in the Blue Alpha Gear belt reviews that are coming up. So definitely stick around for those if you're interested and you want to learn more about these Blue Alpha Gear belts that we've been testing out as well for about the same amount of time we've had these in. Facebook.com/gun reviews, as well as Instagram. We are at 13C Gun Reviews. Sign up for our newsletter. If you haven't, you sign up 13c.us, 13cgunreviews.com. There's a link on our Facebook page as well. We're doing a number of different giveaways. A newsletter, we send out max 1 email a week. Usually it's about 1 email every 10 days. Helps to keep you in the loop with the stuff that we're doing, and with social media ghosting most of our accounts, it's a way that we can kind of stay in contact with each other, and also be continuing all those different giveaways, like the Geisley SSP trigger giveaway, which is going to be out about the day this video launches, or pretty close to that. So you have maybe 1, maybe 2 days to get to sign up for that once this video goes live. Thanks again, everybody, and there'll be more different giveaways after that as well. Thanks again. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. We'll talk soon.